Madame Nayar is the primary spokesperson and liaison for Société for Accessible Travel and Hospitality, SATH. In this regard, she has been interviewed by many medias in the States and about her involving. She will present a 15 minutes followed by question from you. Donc, Madame Nayar.
I feel better if I stand up. Sitting, it makes me too relaxed. Thank you for being here. And I'm Jani Nayar, and I represent SATH, Society for Accessible Travel and Hospitality, which till 2000 was known as Society for Advancement of Travel for the Handicapped. Then we didn't have to explain what we did. The name said it all. But we wanted to be politically correct, and so we changed the name to Society for Accessible Travel and Hospitality. Now we have to explain a little bit what we do. We train the travel industry. We work as a clearinghouse for information, and we were founded in 1976, even before ADA was passed in the US. So today I'll be talking about games and events and accessibility, how the organizations like the Olympic Committee, the FIFA, and other organizers, the people who organized the Pope going to Rio, they can all use those events and games to make accessibility a mainstream event without the least of expense to be spent. Because, okay, now I'm not going to stay more on this because I only have 15 minutes, and I'll be preaching to the choir. Now, the games, one of the numbers we got was 4,500 athletes with disabilities and their caretakers and their family and friends. So that 4,500 would just explode into a huge amount, a number of people. So why is it important for these places to be accessible? So now the accessible games, and then the tourism comes with it. It has all these following components, and all these components have people with disabilities, which should be mainstream, their routes and all the policies. And so now, when we talk about any event, the audience, it's the general public. And the general public, within them come the elderly, the pregnant women and children, and then people with disabilities, with all types of disabilities, the sensory disability, the physical one, the cognitive, and the multiple disabilities. So now the routes, the trip sequences. So I don't have to explain, like for example, somebody comes to the airport, they have to go to the hotel to the restaurant, to the transportation hub, whether it's the roadways or waterways or the railways, and all the places which you would be going back and forth. So all these routes have to be accessible and has to be universal design, so that it does not, like Bill Forrester said in the previous session, does not say that, okay, you have a disability, you go here, oh, you don't have one, so you go here. No, everybody goes together. Now the areas within the host cities, what are the things that you need? It's logical that you need the mode of transportation to the properties, and then the public spaces and the game venues to go. And people who went for the World Cup in Brazil didn't go just for the games. They went around seeing the Corcovado or the Christ statue. They went to the Pão de Açúcar, the sugar loaf and all that. So the attractions all gain money from there if they have given enough thought to it. Now the stakeholders, who are the stakeholders? It's a whole bunch of people, like the civil society organization, the business enterprises, the people with disabilities, whether it's the World Cup, it's the Olympics, it's the Pope visiting, or the Rock in Rio, whatever be, all these people are involved. Okay, may not be the Ministry of Sports, but it would be the Ministry of Culture. And then I'm taking the example of the soccer. Do you say soccer here or football? Soccer, okay. I'm more used to saying football because I come from India and I lived a long time in Brazil. So anyway, soccer. I'm taking that example. So they had the Federation Cup. So the people who were involved were the experts and the tourism ministry. And when it came to the World Cup, it expanded because then private authorities came in. Now with the Olympics, it would even expand even more. Why? Because now it's the wish list. They should have done an audit, complete audit on all the cities that they were going to have the games, and then they should have had an participatory online platform, and then you get all these people, the website on accessible games and tourism, and then you could move on to a Brazil model. And then you have all these people working together to look at and put that in a different way. It would be you do the audit and then you go on to the participatory online platform. That's what I really want to present to you. And then the accessible website where it caters to needs of all disabilities and comprehensive guide, which we have been hearing all the time that it has to be. And then we could come to an internationally standardized tourism for all website with the tools, so that when FIFA is going to do the World Cup in Russia, they don't have to invent a wheel. It's already there. So they can just replicate it there, and the Olympic Committee can do that. The organizers of Rock in Rio can use that. Anybody could use that. So this would be the normal progression to do that. So what is the methodology that we wanted to use? We wanted to use a tool that can be used by experts and the layman, somebody who has not been working in this field for a long time. And unfortunately, we don't have a universal standard. So we would have to come to a common sense factor, like for example, in I think it's in Thailand, that the door width is 38 inches. I'm so sorry, I don't know it in centimeters here. I'm used to the US. And 32 inches in the US. So there is a 6-inch gap there. Then 32, we are finding now that it's not enough, the 32 inches. So you have to have a little more space in the doorways. So come to and instead of staying with all these rules and regulations, we never thought that you should have a stick behind you to work on accessibility. It should be something that comes naturally, because all the population, I don't have to tell you, everybody gains from it. So it's better to resort to universal design rather than the ADA. Compliance, it's not a word that everybody wants to hear, but if everybody wants to hear profit and more income, that's a better word. So when you have a standard tool for future audits, like, okay, if this is the doorway width, or this is the slope, and this is the height of the table, the height of the door handle, then it becomes easier. Then we plan to have an application into the training for people. Now, fortunately, there are lots of people working on this project. For example, there is a person, she's here in this conference, Judith Bendel. She's not presenting, but she has been developing from the first time I met her in 2001, a software which you could use for any standards if you have to comply with the law, or because the law of the country would have to be looked into whether we like it or not. You can modify it into, since it's in software, she can put in the numbers and she can do the study according to ADA, or according to the EU laws or the Israel laws. She comes from Israel. So you have several people trying to develop an easier method of audit, so that you don't have to be an expert with many years of experience on doing audits. and then you have to change the policies, so, and then the policies have to be implemented, and the physical and the intellectual access has to be looked into. One of the things that we talk to people is, if somebody who has autism and is not very adapted to be in a crowded space and has an episode, is the training being given and to the people who are working in the stadium to take care of that, or everybody would just throw their hands up and then go nuts and then make that episode a terrible one that the person finally lands up in hospital? This has happened in schools with children who are autistic. The teacher didn't know, and the end result was the child was in hospital because the episode just exploded into a terrible situation. So the training has to be done, and there has to be physical and intellectual access, and you have to know where you are going, either you have a disability, you don't have disability, and I have 5 minutes. And then from that application comes the international standards. It's where you would have the inputs, and so let me move on. Oh my God. Okay, the methodology of online participatory guide would be based on the experts. Okay, let me explain how we were going to do it. An expert and group, three experts, somebody who was an architect with the universal design knowledge, and then two other people. They would go with another group who would be somebody in a wheelchair, somebody who's blind, somebody who's deaf, so that each one can look at their own disabilities, because you can't expect somebody in a wheelchair know what a blind person needs. Only a blind person really needs, because they live that day in, day out. So we would go there. Together, we would identify in each place somebody who is well-versed, or a DPI, or an organization, the disability organization, or somebody who works in this field, and then have a group come with the experts to do the audit, so they get hands-on training, and then and once the audit is done, it's put on the website, which would be linked to TripAdvisor, which would be put on Google Maps, so that anybody who wants to go anywhere has it available on a mainstream website. And then you have interactive platforms, because we are leaving behind all these people who have been trained, and so they would keep on adding to, because you can only do so many hotels and so many restaurants and so many attractions, and we would want them to keep on adding, and anybody who goes there would be adding on it, and the sharing of viewpoints and pictures and videos, and so that it's a real-time status of accessibility. That is what we would achieve by that. And that can be had, and people can update everything, but it would all be pending the approval of the experts. Because somebody would put for them, I know a person in Ecuador, if he is advising the people to make a bathroom accessible, he does not remember about bus, because he doesn't need the bus, even though he uses a wheelchair. So each one has their perception. So to avoid that, we would be monitoring it constantly to see that everything is shown the proper way. And it would be highly dynamic and graphic, so that you see the picture, then you know if it is accessible to you. For example, there was a person here who had low vision. She could not see the presentation. Only for us, okay, I use glasses, but my reality is totally different from hers. So then we need people to give us the opinion and update it. And then the beneficiaries. Beneficiaries would be a wider market for tourism. That is for the state authorities. The government would get more people to come in, and they would have an accessible place, and which should comply to international standards. The private sector, of course, would make more money, and then they have better quality services, increased visibility. They can market it and publicize what they are doing. And the people with disabilities, of course, can do everything that everybody does without any problem. What would the international entities get? They get the model practice for future events. They don't have to go and invent a wheel and spend more money getting experts to come and do that, and establish standard for inclusive games. Recently, we have been seeing this kind of models. When we started working on this, we looked for something like this. We couldn't find. Now we find one very interesting one that I found just 2 days back was something called safety pin. It's not with the Y, it's with the I, safety pin. I don't know, here do you say the safety pin that you, okay.
Oui, les épingles à couche.
Okay, the safety pin, safetypin.com. And that is for what they say is to be technology environment through which individuals, communities, researchers, NGOs, government service providers can come together to share information via crowdsourcing and act to make our cities safer. So they are doing the same thing, to have a safe city, so that you went to some place in Montreal, you didn't feel safe, you would upload it and somebody would check it, and then you would say, okay, if you go there, be careful. And also the parents can track. No, anybody can track where the other person is, so that if somebody goes to an iffy place, somebody is watching over you. So they are using the same technology, and they have, I think, 6 levels that 6 items that they look for that. So that's what we plan to do, and we plan to get to the Olympic Committee and the FIFA to see if they would embrace this this idea, so that Russia would be totally accessible by the time they have the games, or Qatar would be totally accessible since they are building the stadiums already for 2020. And I welcome questions.
Thanks a lot. So, questions?
My name is Malik Batsi. I'm the owner of the first travel and event agency providing packages on sports events like the FIFA World Cup, Olympics, Paralympics. And I'm really interested by the presentation because I know how it's working. I'm in direct contact with the FIFA CEOs and accessibility programs, etc. And from my point of view, disabled people are less than 1% from these events. For me, it's like a fight to find solutions to, like, for example, it was my second World Cup in Brazil. First game in Maracana, no parking, no drop-off zone, no pick-up zone for wheelchair people.
Yes.
All around the stadium, it was not safe. So I came 4 times in Brazil before the World Cup. It was different. It was supposed to be ready, so it's not ready finally. But because I'm in contact with FIFA, I can find solutions. So I get accreditation for my advance. I was in the VIP sections for my clients. And the parking was okay, but for the general public it was not the same situation. And unfortunately, I can realize today that disabled people are not the priority for that event, because it's less than 1% and because it's only greenwashing for them. So how can we change that? How can we be more, I don't know, proactive with them? To have a better accessibility and a better inclusion. I'm today involved on Euro 2016 in France. I'm consultant on accessibility, and the situation is the same, but I'm French. It's my country, I'm proud to do the job for them, but I can realize today that the stadium is owned by the city. The rules are from UFA. I'm consultant for a charity paid by UFA. So, in fact, UFA can choose what they will do or not. But the problem is that the city will not follow the rules because they don't care. The stadium is the stadium of the city, and they're asking for money to UEFA. UEFA don't want to pay. So, in fact, who is supporting that the disabled people going to the stadium?
Okay. So you have many questions, from the greenwashing to the be proactive, from who's in charge, and okay.
Yes.
So
If you turn off the camera, I can give you the correct answer. With the camera rolling, no. So let me be politically correct. To get people to, one consolation is that people without disabilities had almost the same difficulty in getting to the stadium and getting off the stadium. You went in and asked them, nobody seemed to know where to go, and then you just follow the crowd like lemmings. That was the same. So for people with disabilities, I went to a game and I asked them, oh, I have a friend who is in a wheelchair, where do I go with him? Oh, I don't know, you may have to carry him. So that was the answer I got, okay. And so the only thing that we can do is keep on. Have you heard the term, the flowing water hollows out the stone? And you speak Portuguese. Água mole, pedra dura, faz o buraco. That means the water that drips finally makes a hole in the stone. So that is the, that is the only way we can do, because unless we make one of them, who is the policy maker, fall down and break his leg and get him into a wheelchair, then things would work out very fast.
So
that can be recorded. I said that. I have
is
said that to
reported.
many people, to their faces. Unless they feel it themselves, it's like, oh, why do we worry? That's a few people, they don't even go out of the house. So. But we keep at it, we go after it, we completely pester them, so maybe. But one of the biggest way to do that is to show how much people, for example, the study that Carol has done, Open Doors have done, that has opened a lot of doors. Show them, this is the money you make. So then things would change. But it's a slow process.
okay. Is there any other question? May I ask one about? Do you know if the next European soccer cup is in France, and they are doing now a lot of investment in stadium, not building new one, but upgrading a lot of stadium. Do you know if they include in those revamping and upgrading of those stadium? Okay.
The situation in France is complicated because
It's 2016. Okay, for everyone, 2016 European soccer or football.
so there is 10 cities, 10 stadiums. Some are new stadiums, some are refurbished, but some stadiums did the work to improve accessibility. But we are just starting now to check how it's accessible. And from information I had from UEFA, I know that there is some trouble in some stadiums because, in France they are starting the works without consulting people, and then they are consulting when it's finished.
Okay. So when you're saying you're checking, who's checking?
We are checking.
You are checking. Okay.
Me and my colleagues.
Okay. And from those 10 stadiums who are refurbished or upgrade, is there one in those 10 that you could give as a good example, or no, none of those?
I can't answer now because I
Okay.
didn't check the 10, but I know that some are quite good and we will improve the others.
Like the Marseille Velodrome that they've just opened a few weeks ago. Do you?
There's many troubles.
Okay. Okay.
It's one. This stadium is one of the best examples in France.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. There is one of the biggest associations of disabled fans in the world. 500 people, disabled people, members, and going to the games every weekend, traveling in Europe. We are organizing the travel of the association in the Champions League. And they didn't consult the fans and the president of the association to make the stadium accessible.
Okay.
So then when they delivered the stadium, there was trouble with the seats, with the access, with many things, the toilets, the lifts.
Okay.
So we have to find solution now, and it would be, I don't know how to say it, but like do it yourself. You know?
Okay. You want to?
No, I just wanted to mention here, one of the stadiums that I have seen, which has fabulous accessibility in reaching there, everybody walking the same path and going there, for people who are blind, who are deaf, and all kinds of disabilities, it's a very inviting stadium. That's a Yankee Stadium and the Met Stadium in New York.
Okay.
Fabulous. They even put it up on the screen. If you can really hear what the crowd is shouting, they even give you closed captions on that.
Okay. So that's, yeah, for sure. You want a mic? There's one in front. Is it working?
Hi, I am Kiji from Japan. One of my hobby is watching sports. So tonight I will go to the Canadians game. So, and I have a lot of experience to watch the match. So in Europe, in Brazil, USA, Canada, Asia, my country, Japan. So I know, so the situation is quite different. So in Europe, for example, the stadium, many wheelchair seat is free. Mm-hmm. And the free, we don't need to pay one wheelchair and one attendant. That is why the number of wheelchair seats is limited. So I mean, so too much charity is no services. So we need the same, we have to pay. So if charity is okay, so they give the ticket after or some seat. So I think in Europe, many wheelchair seat is free to enter, but only 20 seats, 30 seats in the stadium. But the USA, you know, the more than 200, 300, so any space. So they should do the not so much charity base, so maybe half price, okay, so free attendant. And then they sell the ticket and they give the accommodations. So to park space, to give the park space. That is a different situation. So in my country, Japan, there are some stadiums, the wheelchair seat is different. So some teams has given the free seat, but the number is limitations. So, I mean, disabled people should pay the fee and the ticket and get the accommodation is a key. That is why the government and the teams doesn't care about disability persons because they don't pay nothing there.
But in Brazil, they pay 50%. Elderly and disabled people pay 50%. And in the US, you pay full price.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you said that because the motto of SATH when it was founded was charity no, service yes.
Yeah. Good answer. And if I ask you the same question in Japan, which stadium you will give as an example for those who are here and from around the world? If we had to go to Japan and visit a stadium and you will say, I think this one is, like Madame Nayar said, for the Mets and none, or?
We have some new stadium. There are many wheelchair seats, but in 2002, we had a host country of World Cup.
Yeah, exactly.
World Soccer game. So we made many wheelchair seats because of the FIFA standard. However, we didn't have a system to sell the ticket. So I mean, I want to buy, but no system for selling.
Okay, the place were there, but no way to sell the ticket for the place.
They make a wheelchair space, but no guest comes.
Okay, so many of your stadium in Japan, because of the World Cup, have been upgraded.
Now today, so we changed the system, so we can buy a wheelchair ticket easily. But in some stadium, we pay the same price, and some teams has a free to enter. So it depends on the team.
The team or the owner of the stadium?
Yes.
Okay.
It is tend to the Tokyo and the Osaka big cities tend to be more same opportunity. I mean the 100% price. But in the countryside, still some discriminations, I think. So charity based, so they give the free ticket.
Okay, thanks a lot.
If I can just give you a good example of stadium.
Yes?
Wembley.
Wembley. Okay.
Number one, bus services are adapted.
But the problem, I visited Wembley
Yeah.
before.
And?
So their toilet is under stairs. So if we go to the toilet, we need to get down the stairs. So also there are some wheelchair toilet, of course, on the same level.
Yeah.
But it is locked.
Oh, yeah.
So we need the key. So the key, the England wheelchairs has a key, but I'm a foreigner. I'm not a citizen. I don't have a key. So I could not use a wheelchair toilet in Wembley.
Usually visit London. If you inform them when you, before you come, they give you a key.
But
They used to.
Okay.
Who knows? I'm Japanese.
Okay, well, thanks for the question, and the discussion is great.